Previously, we saw Makoto's mana level up big time, helping him handle challenges like a total pro. Plus, this city is under attack by mutants, and Makoto and his team are working hard to figure out how to stop them. Now, let's jump right back into the action. Makoto and his group quickly realize that the students are on edge. Turns out, mutants have popped up among them, and it's got everyone nervous. Wanting to help, Makoto gathers his class and updates them on the situation. The city's condition isn't getting any better. The number of mutants isn't going down, and backup from other nations is nowhere in sight. The students, eager to do their part, offer to help. But Makoto shuts that idea down real quick. He points out that if they leave and the academy gets attacked, who's going to protect it? The students reluctantly agree to stay put, and Makoto entrusts Aqua and Eris with their protection. With that settled, Makoto and his team head to the Merchants Guild, where they immediately notice 2 lizardmen assigned to Patrick. That means Patrick himself must be around. Sure enough, they find him, and he's visibly worried about his daughters. Makoto reassures him that there's no need to stress, they're perfectly safe. Then he spots Zala, and let's just say Makoto isn't exactly his biggest fan. Ever since his not-so-pleasant encounter with the goddess, Zala has been at the top of his least favorite people list. But surprisingly, Zala is acting nice. It turns out he doesn't have much of a choice. Patrick points out that with this powerful guards Makoto assigned them, even Zala can't put on his usual tough guy act. As they discuss the damage done to the city, Makoto asks for details, but Zala admits that they're still in the dark. They don't have the manpower to do much right now. Patrick, however, commends Zala for keeping things together, especially since some guild members lost their mind over massive financial losses. Then, in true Makoto fashion, he casually tells Patrick to call back his forces because he and his team will handle the mutant problem. Patrick is stunned. Even in this chaotic situation, Makoto isn't the least bit worried. And why would he be? He casually mentions that they've already taken down 15 mutants on their way there, only 9 more to go. Oh, and by the way, they also figured out that the accessories the mutants are wearing are what's causing the transformations. Now all they need is the guild's help retrieving them. After leaving the guild, Makoto, ever the strategist, decides to spice things up. He starts a little competition between Mio and Shiki, and whoever takes down the most mutants wins whatever they want. The two immediately jump at the challenge, determined to outdo each other. Meanwhile, back at the guild, Zala is still trying to process what he just heard. It took 50 mercenaries several days to take down just 4 mutants, and yet Makoto defeated 15 like it was nothing. Patrick, on the other hand, is completely unsurprised. He scolds Zala for failing to see who Makoto truly is. Zala thinks Makoto is too naive and won't get far, but Patrick disagrees. He knows that once someone witnesses Makoto's true power, there's no way they can ever negotiate with him as an equal. Zala, always looking for an angle, wonders if forces could be used to manipulate trade in their favor, but then again, doing so would risk the goddess's wrath. Patrick, however, believes that her punishment won't reach them, and that Makoto's company is worth backing no matter what. And with that, the stage is set for Makoto to once again prove why he's on a whole different level. Meanwhile, Tomoe catches up with Makoto, proudly announcing that she's gathered all the suspicious accessories. She also casually mentions that she gave Zala a bunch of food and supplies, on one condition. He has to mention their company's name while distributing them. Classic business move. Noticing that Mio is absolutely glowing with excitement, Tomoe gets curious. Makoto fills her in on the contest between Shiki and Mio. When she hears that the winner can ask for anything they want, her jaw drops. No way is she missing out on this. She immediately begs Makoto to hear her request too. Makoto thinks about heading to the northwestern part of the city, but remembers he already sent Mondo and Lime to support the academy. It turns out things over there are chaotic. The headmaster wants the students to fight the mutants, but Aqua and Eris have other plans. They unleash a powerful spell to stop them, but there's a catch. It requires a dance. Aqua, totally embarrassed by the whole thing, refuses. Eris, ever the schemer, offers to do it alone but needs Aqua's mana. What does she do? She tricks Aqua into holding her hands and forces her into the dance. Aqua is not having it. She kicks Eris away and casts the spell solo, covering the academy in a massive layer of ice. There's just one little problem. They accidentally trap themselves inside too. Mondo rushes to apologize to Makoto on their behalf, but Makoto just shrugs it off. It's not his problem. Shiki points out that there's enough food in the dorms to last everyone a couple of days, so they decide to leave them be for now. Meanwhile, Tomoe continues her supply distribution mission, mentioning that once help from other nations arrives, their job is done. But Shiki has something else on his mind. He notes that once the dust settles, humans will finally realize they're at war with the demons. Makoto raises an eyebrow. Does this mean Shiki plans to expose them? With a knowing smirk, Shiki admits he's already tampered with the accessories. Once humans analyze them, they'll discover that demons were the ones behind the mutations. Makoto wonders if this will cause problems for them, but Tomoe reassures him. They were the ones helping through the entire crisis. There's no way people will see them as enemies. Curious about the ice barrier, Makoto enters with ease, surprising Aqua. She blurts out, "How did you even get in here?" Eris, unfazed, explains that he just walked in, from underground. But that's not the only surprise. Eris also reveals that there's someone behind all of this, a mastermind hiding out in the fancy luxury houses using strange equipment to attract the mutants. Makoto offers to get Aqua and Eris out of the barrier, but they hesitate. They're scared. If they leave, their master might not be so forgiving. Late at night, Makoto is approached by Saritsu, representing the three allied nations. Their telepathic communication has been cut off, and they desperately need his help to restore it. Meanwhile, Luto is in awe of the massive ice barrier and casually asks Mio if she has informed Makoto about a certain situation. Mio, ever composed, assures him that they've decided to handle it themselves. Then, she drops a bombshell. The demons had another collaborator besides Rona, and tonight, she intends to deal with them personally. Wanting to resolve the telepathy issue, Makoto turns to Tomoe, who confirms she can restore it. However, after observing Luto's reaction, she gets the distinct impression that he's hiding something. Rather than pressing him, Makoto opts for a more direct approach. With a flick of his wrist, he launches a fireball into the sky. It bursts into a spectacular explosion, sending waves of energy rippling across the city. Luto watches in astonishment, wondering if Makoto just obliterated every single demon device in one move. Tomoe, however, coolly points out that there are other ways to restore telepathy without outright destroying them. With telepathic links reestablished, the three nations quickly realize the dire truth. They are all under attack by demons. If they want to return home, they have no choice but to fight back. Makoto swiftly teleports the leaders to where they need to be, but there's another problem. What if the demons have infiltrated their ranks, disguised as humans? The thought reminds Makoto of Suzu's bodyguards, who had also turned out to be demons. Meanwhile, Lily worries about Lan's face, but they're pinned down in a nearby city and unable to move. Seeing no other option, Limia's king asks Makoto to teleport him and Lily. However, Tomoe suddenly speaks up. Her sword is reaching its limit. Without it, she won't be able to create more mist gates. The others ask Makoto to persuade her, and he plays along, treating the situation as an emergency. Satisfied, Tomoe opens 2 mist gates, and before stepping through, the king instructs his daughter to remain behind and support the neighboring cities. The moment the gates close, Tomoe's sword shatters and she drops to her knees, exhaustion washing over her. The sight convinces everyone that she truly was at her limit, making her act even more believable. Later that night, Shiki and Makoto analyze the situation. Shiki warns that if humans continue to underestimate the demons, they will suffer massive losses. He explains that many believe the attack on Rosgard was just a diversion, but in reality, Bretonnia is merely bait. The true target? Limia. The demons want to eliminate Hibiki. Makoto wonders why they aren't focusing on Bretonnia's hero instead, but Shiki clarifies the difference. Bretonnia's hero manipulates others with his charm magic, while the hero of Limia possesses a natural charisma that could become a far greater threat to the demons in the long run. Makoto contemplates their next move. He doesn't feel personally obligated to help the heroes, but since they were all summoned from the same world, he doesn't mind lending a hand. The problem is, with Tomoe maintaining her exhausted act, teleportation is off the table. Shiki suggests sending reinforcements from the demiplane in secret, but Makoto feels it wouldn't be right to ask them to fight without leading by example. Meanwhile, Luto can't help but be impressed. Makoto's method of restoring telepathy wasn't just a display of overwhelming power, it was a strategic masterstroke. He was not only reassured the nations, but also secured their trust, proving once again that he is far from an ordinary player in this conflict. Out of nowhere, the sky lights up and a beam of light attempts to teleport Makoto and Shiki away. Instantly, they recognize the culprit, the goddess. Makoto quickly binds himself with a chain to resist, but Shiki warns that if anyone sees them fighting against the goddess, everything they've worked for will be for nothing. Understanding the situation, they let the teleportation take them. They arrive at the same place where Makoto first met the goddess. As he looks around, he admits that he originally wanted to return here after gaining the confidence to face her properly. However, her throne appears empty. Suspicious, he throws an arrow at the seat, revealing a hidden barrier. She was there all along. The goddess immediately scolds Makoto, saying he was supposed to stay quietly at the edge of the world. Unbothered, Makoto reminds her that Tsukuyomi granted him the freedom to act as he pleases. She then declares that she's sending him to Limia to aid their hero. Makoto, unimpressed, bluntly tells her to handle it herself. She knows she can't just descend to the world whenever she wants, but Makoto counters that even if he does go, he might end up siding with the demons instead. The goddess insists he has no reason to help them, but Makoto coolly replies that his hatred for her is reason enough. Annoyed, she reminds him that she is the ruler of this world, and if he refuses to obey, she'll erase him. Makoto, however, isn't fazed. If she could truly kill him, she would have done so when she teleported him in the middle of his battle with Sophia. He then calls her a failure, pointing out that this world is a twisted mess that doesn't even align with her own vision. Furious, she prepares to strike him, but before she can act, Fury interrupts, informing her that someone from their original world has arrived to meet her. Shifting gears, the goddess offers Makoto a deal. She'll stay out of his way as long as he doesn't interfere with the humans. But Makoto isn't satisfied. He wants a reward. When she asks what he wants, he realizes that he has no idea. He just wanted to get under her skin. Annoyed, she declares their meeting is over, but before she can send him off, Shiki steps in, requesting that Makoto be granted the ability to speak the common language. She agrees, but the process is excruciating. Makoto screams in pain as blood pours from him. But with that settled, she orders him to aid the hero and capture Fort Stella, threatening to kill him if he fails. A hole suddenly opens beneath them, sending them plummeting from the sky. As they fall, Shiki is shocked at how calm Makoto is, but Makoto simply shrugs. It's his third time experiencing something like this. He instructs Shiki to cloak them in darkness to conceal their presence while he controls their descent. As they fall, Makoto reaches out to Tomoe and Mio via telepathy. He instructs them to lead the orcs and mist blizzards to Kalenion, and also wants Eva and Luna to act and tells Tomoe and Mio to set up a replacement for him at the academy. The two get excited. It's the first time Makoto has directly asked them to fight for him. Back in the demiplane, Tomoe addresses the orcs and mist lizards, telling them they have been personally chosen by Makoto. Now is the time to use all the strength they've built and crush anything in their way. She then opens a mist gate, teleporting them right in front of the demon's base in Kanon. Using Mio's webs, they scan the enemy's numbers. Mio decides to strike first, while Tomoe secures the demiplane's gate and instructs everyone else to hold back for now. After Tomoe leaves, Emma assesses the situation. There are 2,000 demons in the base, while their own forces number only 100. Despite the overwhelming odds, she declares that they must throw everything they have into this battle to achieve victory. As the battle rages on, Makoto's forces charge toward the castle, with the demons attempting to halt their advance with a barrage of arrows. However, Emma swiftly erects a powerful barrier, shielding them from harm. She then casts a reinforcement spell on Agares, who wastes no time in smashing through the castle's front gates. With their path clear, the group storms inside, cutting down any demon that dares stand in their way. Meanwhile, Eva and Luria arrive in Mirage City, where they are met with an unexpected revelation. They are told that restoring their fallen nation is not just a matter of reclaiming land. It requires wisdom, leadership, and skill. The demi-humans offer their aid in rebuilding, but it's clear that Eva and Luria must grow stronger to guide their people towards a new future. Back at the castle, Mio finds herself facing off against a demon commander who calls himself Reft. He claims to be a dragon, which takes Mio by surprise. His appearance is far closer to that of a serpent. When he mentions Kalenion, Reft laughs, declaring that it no longer exists. However, Mio smirks knowingly and corrects him. Kalenion was never destroyed. It still remains, unseen but not lost. Reft remains unfazed and reminds her that the demons have taken control of all territory north of Fort Stella. Mio realizes that this gives them a strategic advantage, as humans cannot claim dominion over lands they do not even acknowledge. High above the battlefield, Makoto and Shiki continue their rapid descent toward Linia's royal capital. The city below them is engulfed in flames, a clear sign of the war raging beneath. Shiki speculates that a similar conflict must be unfolding in Britonia, while Makoto braces himself. Soon, he will meet the other heroes. Mio's battle against Reft proves to be more challenging than she anticipated. Every attack she launches is seamlessly reflected back at her. Initially, she had assumed his massive frame was merely for intimidation, but she quickly realizes he is studying her movements with every clash. Amused by her persistence, Reft questions why she keeps repeating the same techniques. Mio, unfazed, simply responds that she is only using the attacks she has seen in Makoto's memories. When she fires a concentrated bullet of dark energy, Reft effortlessly redirects it, striking her with her own power. Blood trickles from her wound, yet she does not waver. Confident in his abilities, Reft tells her it is futile to continue attacking when he can counter every move she makes. But Mio does not stop. She keeps attacking. From a distance, Tomoe observes the fight and quickly understands Mio's intent. She is not simply fighting, she is attempting to master the reflection technique mid-battle. A wave of jealousy washes over Tomoe. She wishes she had encountered an opponent worthy of testing her own limits. But there's no need for concern. Their victory is already assured. Wielding her blade, she strikes the earth with immense force, splitting the ground and raising a formidable border around the kingdom. Meanwhile, in Gratonia, Sophia and Lancer track down Rona. Lancer inquires about her findings, and Rona shares a crucial observation. Hero of Lemia fights differently depending on whether it is day or night. She speculates that his healing abilities may only activate under the moonlight. However, this information is of little consequence, as their true target remains Hibiki. Lancer informs them that Lily has returned and is now leading the Imperial forces. Rona suggests returning to Fort Stella, but Sophia has other plans. She has set her sights on Hero of Lima. Spotting him soaring through the sky on the back of a dragon alongside his allies, Sophia seizes the opportunity. With Lancer's aid, she propels herself onto the dragon's back. The Hero of Lemia immediately recognizes her, but before he can react, Sophia strikes. However, her blade is intercepted. Genebia blocks the attack with her shield. Sophia narrows her eyes, sniffing the air. Something about Genebia's presence feels different. Then, realization dawns. Genebia has been strengthened by the power of a greater dragon. Confused by Sophia's aggression, Temui and his allies demand an explanation. She doesn't hesitate. With unwavering conviction, she reveals that she has aligned herself with the demons. Turning to Tomoki, she challenges him to a duel. Tomoki attempts to ensnare her with his magic eye, but Sophia scoffs. The technique has no effect on her. Without hesitation, she slices through the dragon's wings, sending them all plummeting toward the battlefield below. As they fall, she calls out to Temui, declaring that she will be waiting for him when they crash. Upon landing, Sophia wastes no time preparing for battle. Tomoki warns her not to underestimate him, reminding her that he is blessed by the goddess herself. The duel begins. In an instant, Sophia drives her sword through Tomoki's body, only to find that she has been deceived. His form crumbles into clay, a decoy crafted by the magic of Yugenatsu. Before she can react, the clay surges around her, binding her in place. Yugenatsu smirks, declaring that escaping will not be easy. With Sophia immobilized, Tomoki issues his orders. Genebia is to hold the defensive line while Tomoki prepares for an all-out strike. Tomoki summons an array of weapons. Together, they all unleash a devastating attack upon Sophia, striking her with overwhelming force. As the dust settles, a flicker of relief washes over them. They believe they have succeeded. But when the smoke clears, their confidence shatters. Sophia stands untouched. Not even a scratch marks her body. The true battle is only just beginning. Lancer keeps cutting down Gratonia's soldiers, absorbing their energy to regain his original form and lost strength. Meanwhile, Sophia overpowers Tomoki's group but isn't satisfied. She keeps attacking Tomoki, pushing him to fight back, convinced that he's holding something back. He hesitates, afraid of hurting his friends. She even offers to kill them so he can fight freely, but he warns that if she does, he won't use his trump card. Instead, he makes a deal. Send his friends to the Imperial capital, and he'll unleash his hidden power. Sophia agrees and orders Lancer to send them away. Once they're gone, she demands to see the true strength of the goddess's blessing. Tomoki corrects her. It's not from the goddess. He gathers energy between his hands and fires a devastating attack, leaving a massive crater in the ground. Sophia and Lancer barely evade the blast, but she's stunned. It was even stronger than Makoto's arrow. In the crater, Tomoki lies unconscious. Sophia explains that the spell consumes the caster's life, but even if someone dodges the main blast, they're still afflicted by a deadly curse or poison. Lancer starts feeling its effects, but Sophia quickly heals him. However, she notices that Tomoki seems unaffected. She telepathically contacts Rona, revealing that the powerful mana they sensed came from Tomoki. When Rona asks if he was killed, Sophia lies, claiming that he escaped. Before returning to Fort Stella, Sophia is stunned to see Makoto heading toward Lemia. She and Lancer prepare to intercept him. Meanwhile, Makoto realizes he needs to disguise himself to avoid drawing attention. Shiki suggests reverting to his skeleton form and mentions he left something useful in the Lemia kingdom. Elsewhere, Hibiki's forces are losing against the demons, forcing them to retreat. Chia worries about those left behind, but Hibiki insists that they must carry the hopes of the fallen and fight for victory. As they prepare to evacuate civilians, a soldier reports they can only save about 30% of the population. Just then, Lo appears before them, warning that if they run, the demons will slaughter everyone. He declares that this war will only end with one side's extinction or enslavement. Lo launches a punch, but Hibiki blocks it with her sword, impressed by its durability and wind enchantment, crafted by Bayon. Her allies cast support spells on her, and she encounters Lo, but he blocks her strike and unleashes a flurry of punches. She soon realizes he's equipped with enchanted elemental gauntlets, one for each arm, covering all 4 elements. Lo is about to overwhelm her when suddenly Makoto arrives, wearing Mio's hero suit. The sight leaves everyone speechless, but Makoto is even more surprised when he recognizes Hibiki, his senior from their world. Shiki arrives in his skeletal form, and Makoto immediately instructs him to secure Hibiki's safety while ensuring that she doesn't hear his name. Hibiki, still processing the sudden intervention, asks if they are here to assist. Meanwhile, Makoto, distracted by her attire, activates his voice modifier before responding. He claims he is acting in accordance with a pact with the goddess. Turning his attention to Lo, Makoto offers a warning. If he withdraws now, he will ensure that the humans do not pursue him. However, Lo remains steadfast, declaring he will not retreat until Hibiki is dead. He launches a punch at Makoto, who effortlessly blocks it. Hibiki and her allies are astonished by his strength, yet they caution him against engaging Lo in direct combat. Lo manages to land a blow, but Makoto counters, forcing Lo back. Hibiki considers intervening, but Shiki warns against him, stating that they would only hinder Makoto. He then takes note of Hibiki's sword, recognizing the craftsmanship. He suspects it may have been procured from Kuzunoa's shop in Sige. Recalling his past experiments, he muses that the sword's material likely originated from his research involving wind spirits and the creatures of the wasteland. Suddenly, two demons ambush them. Shiki swiftly erects a barrier, instructing Hibiki and her companions to remain within it. He states that their pact with the goddess does not extend to her allies, implying he has no obligation to protect them. One of the demons fires an arrow, but Shiki incinerates it mid-flight with a mere gesture. Breaking 4 of his rings, Shiki taps his sword against the ground, summoning earthen spikes that pierce one of the demons. The remaining assailants attempt to retaliate, but Shiki engulfs them in his flames, reducing them to cinders. Meanwhile, Lo observes Makoto watching Shiki's battle and scoffs, questioning if he believes he can defeat him as effortlessly. Makoto acknowledges Lo's superior hand-to-hand combat skills and admits that this battle will not be easy. However, Lo points out that none of Makoto's strikes have had any real effect. Makoto, unfazed, asks if Lo has any concern for his fallen subordinates. But Lo dismisses the notion, stating that everyone present came prepared to sacrifice their lives. Makoto signals Shiki, prompting Lo to realize that Makoto has no intention of fighting honorably. Makoto clarifies his true objective, protecting the hero and securing Fort Stella. He also hints that another battle looms on the horizon, and he can't afford to reveal his full strength just yet. Without warning, Makoto's suit unleashes homing projectiles at Lo. Though he destroys most of them, several make contact, dealing unexpected damage. Lo is momentarily stunned, unfamiliar with such weaponry. Makoto capitalizes on the moment, launching an anchor that latches onto Lo. Using the tether, he propels himself forward and delivers a crushing blow to Lo's face. Lo staggers, but his body swiftly regenerates. He retaliates, aiming to strike Makoto midair, but Makoto activates his boosters, maneuvering out of reach before countering with a powerful kick. He warns Lo to retreat, but the Demon General regenerates once more and launches a relentless assault. As Hibiki watches with concern, Shiki activates the 7th gate, enshrouding the entire city in a suppressive mist. Lo continues his furious onslaught, but Makoto withstands his blows with ease. Seeing the tides shift, Lo acknowledges Makoto's strength but states that circumstances prevent him from continuing the fight. With a mighty roar, Lo sends a signal to his forces, declaring that the time has come. He then turns to Makoto, revealing the emblem of the rose sign given to him by Navel. As Shiki observes the altered rose sign, he quickly realizes its significance. Lo declares that none shall escape this battlefield alive. His demon forces will activate the rose sign to unleash devastation upon the humans. Recognizing Makoto's strength, Lo crushes the sign, its power surging through him as his aura grows even more menacing. Hibiki and her allies attempt to rush into the city to aid the civilians, but Shiki conjures a barrier to halt them. Desperate, they plead with him to let them pass, but he simply tells them that if they can break through it, he'll consider allowing it. Hibiki attacks the barrier with all of her strength, but it remains unscathed. Exhaustion finally overtakes her, and she collapses. She awakens in an unfamiliar space, where a mysterious voice greets her. She panics, worried about the ongoing battle, but the voice assures her that only her consciousness is present. No time is actually passing in the real world. The being mentions that Tomoki also arrived in this place before and explains that she has obtained the Traveler's Privilege. However, Hibiki is only concerned with whether his power can make her stronger. The voice asks her several questions before revealing her rank, Black, one of the highest classifications. It explains that even the gods themselves can't obtain this color, as it is known as the All Color, possessing nearly limitless potential. The voice offers to grant her an ability, but informs her that Tomoki has already taken an offensive power. She briefly considers requesting the ability to rule the world, but upon learning that it would require all of her mana and the sacrifice of 80% of the world's life, she immediately discards the idea. She then asks for a power to dispel all magic, but the voice informs her that such a skill can be learned naturally. After thinking carefully, she requests an ability that allows her to grow stronger by drawing upon the emotions of others. The voice warns her that it would reduce her maximum mana, but ultimately grants her request before returning her to the real world. She awakens, now wielding newfound strength, and immediately shatters Shiki's barrier. As her group prepares to move into the city, Shiki makes one last attempt to stop them, until he senses the approaching presence of Sophia and Lancer. Makoto orders him to go with Hibiki instead. Makoto contemplates his approach, knowing that he does not wish to kill Lo. If he hopes to establish any sort of understanding with the demon race, he must incapacitate Lo without completely crushing him. Before he can act, however, a sudden attack interrupts the battle. Realizing that time is short, Makoto quickly pinpoints the Rose Sign's presence within Lo's body using Kai and dispels it before Lo can fully unleash its power. Before he can regain his footing, Sophia appears in an instant, striking him with her blade and shattering a portion of his hero suit. She smirks, impressed that he survived the blow, and admits that he is far stronger than Tomoki. Makoto cautiously asks if Tomoki is still alive, and she responds that she showed her something interesting, so she spared his life. When he tells her to leave, she merely laughs, seeing him as an obstacle that must be eliminated. But before their battle can commence, Rona arrives, her expression shifting to shock as she sees Makoto standing there. She had been certain he was still in Rosgard. Lo mentions his agreement with the goddess, prompting Rona to express disappointment. She had been considering granting him an audience with the Demon King, but now she questions his judgment. Makoto clarifies that he never once claimed allegiance to the demons. Rona, however, remarks that he should be grateful for what she orchestrated in Rosgard, as it ultimately benefits his business. Turning to more pressing matters, Makoto asks if the demon forces have already withdrawn from the city. When Rona confirms their retreat, he immediately realizes that demi-humans must have played a role in assisting them. Seeking to shift the situation in her favor, Rona extends an offer. She'll support his business with demon territory if he chooses to walk away from this battlefield. However, Makoto remains firm, countering that she should be the one to leave. Amused, Rona warns that he stands no chance against both Lo and Sophia, but Makoto remains unfazed. In fact, he even invites her to join the fight. Still recovering from Makoto's interference, Lo warns Rona not to underestimate him. Despite activating the Rose Sign, he had still failed to claim victory. Rona's fury flares as she scolds Lo for using the Rose Sign, knowing it is a death sentence. Lo, however, remains steadfast. He cannot let only his soldiers bear the burden of sacrifice. She asks how much time he has left, but Lo reveals that Makoto destroyed the sign, severing its effect and leaving its fate uncertain. Sophia watches Lo struggle and suddenly starts laughing. Even after pushing himself to the brink of death, he still failed to defeat Makoto. Understanding that she must now face him at full strength, she steps forward with renewed resolve. Before the battle begins, she offhandedly mentions that Makoto was the one responsible for the creation of Star Lake. This revelation catches even Makoto off guard. He has no recollection of how this last battle ended. As they engage, Sophia vanishes, reappearing in an instant to strike. However, her blade is abruptly halted by an invisible force, Makoto's mana matter. She attacks again, this time unleashing dark magic. Yet, once more, her assault is nullified. Makoto observes that her magic has grown stronger since their last encounter, but even so, it still falls short. Sophia is stunned. Not only has Makoto stopped her sword, but even her dragon fire has failed to reach him. She tries again, only for the same result. Makoto remarks that mana matter is the solid manifestation of pure mana, but Sophia has no comprehension of what he means. Far away, an unseen presence watches the battle through Sophia's vision. Luto. His disbelief is evident. Makoto has done something unheard of, turning his vast reserves of mana into a tangible form. Luto recalls the time Makoto sought knowledge on increasing his mana, but he never imagined he would actually succeed. Back in the battle, Makoto shifts to the offensive. However, Sophia avoids his strikes with ease, finding them slow. She suddenly begins flickering in and out of sight, causing Makoto to take note. This isn't mere speed, nor is it a technique from her swords. Could she have acquired the abilities of a shadow dragon? She shifts tactics once more, gathering an immense amount of fire magic and unleashing a searing beam. Yet, just like before, it proves ineffective against Makoto's mana matter. In response, Makoto counters with light magic. Sophia teleports to avoid the attack, but with his investigative Kai, Makoto easily tracks their movements, continuing his relentless barrage. On the battlefield, Lo begins readying himself to intervene. However, Makoto's cold voice haunts him. If he interferes, he will be dealt with accordingly. Sophia recovers but is clearly struggling, realizing the battle must end soon. She decides to reveal something. Since their last fight, she has consumed 2 greater dragons. Makoto immediately understands the implication. She's not an ally of the dragons, but a devourer of them. She declares that she has gained the power to bring ruin to entire nations, but Makoto remains skeptical. Either she's overestimating her strength, or the world itself is far weaker than he initially believed. With a chilling smirk, Sophia announces her next ambition, to devour 2 more greater dragons. If she succeeds, she claims she will be powerful enough to challenge Luto himself. As she makes her declaration, her body begins to change. Releasing her full might, she shifts into her dragon form. Yet, even now, Makoto is unimpressed. He doubts she could match Tomoe, let alone Luto, which visibly unsettles her. Only a select few even know Luto's name. Determined to shift the tide, Sophia employs dark magic, weakening sections of Makoto's mana matter, then serving them with precise strikes from her sword. She continues this strategy, gradually breaking down his defenses. Sensing an opening, Lo suddenly rejoins the battle. Without hesitation, Makoto snatches him mid-motion, obliterating his arm in a single blow before sending him crashing away. His voice is devoid of emotion as he delivers a final warning. If Lo returns, he will not be given another chance to flee. Sophia manages to destroy all of Makoto's mana matter, but before she can celebrate, he effortlessly reconstructs it, leaving her stunned. Meanwhile, in the city, Hibiki and her group are cutting down demon forces when a sudden barrage of swords rains upon them. Shiki swiftly erects a barrier, but Woody is still struck. Hibiki immediately orders Chie to heal him. Descending from them in his dragon form, Lancer addresses Shiki, offering him a chance to retreat. However, Shiki remains unwavering, declaring that he serves his master, Makoto, and will not flee. Back on the battlefield, Sophia continues her relentless assault, but her stamina begins to wane. Seizing the opportunity, Makoto lands a devastating blow, sending her crashing into a wall. Rona, observing from the shadows, believes her final spell might be capable of breaking Makoto's mana matter. As she prepares to cast it, Makoto warns her with chilling certainty. If she proceeds, he will erase her. Rona, once believing Makoto to be naive, now sees the overwhelming presence standing before her. Recognizing the shift in power, she decides to withdraw. Sophia rises once more, but Makoto notices her sword and arm have fused. She explains that her weapon is a crystallization of Lance's power. Each time she draws upon her dragon abilities, the bond between them deepens. She then mocks Makoto's strength, claiming his attacks are weaker than Oki's. Unfazed, Makoto simply shrugs. He's never met Tomoki and cannot confirm her claim, but he warns her not to judge him based on a single move. She has yet to witness his full power. Sophia begins praising Tomoki, but Makoto merely chuckles. He sees the truth. She has been ensnared by his charm. Though she may have resisted partially, she never truly broke free. That's why she spared Tomoki, because she likes him. Makoto even offers to break the enchantment, but his words only enrage her. Wings erupt from her back as she furiously renews her assault, only for Makoto to slam her into the ground with overwhelming force. Gritting her teeth, Sophia believes that with Lancer's aid, she could defeat Makoto, but Makoto denies her hope. That won't happen. Lancer is already occupied, and besides, Shiki is stronger than Lancer. Meanwhile, Lancer continues his relentless assault against Shiki, launching a storm of swords. Shiki burns several away, but one still manages to wound him. Seeing an opportunity, Lancer shifts into his human form, preparing to leave and assist Sophia. However, Shiki refuses to let him go. Lancer must pay for injuring his master. Lancer strikes again, his swords flashing towards Shiki, who counters with his staff. However, the intensity of the battle is evident. Shiki is struggling. Hibiki urges him to dispel the mist so she can aid him, but Shiki refuses. She insists, but he offers a deal. If she focuses on protecting her allies, he will ensure Woody's survival once the battle is won. Understanding his resolve, Hibiki chooses to trust him. With that said, Shiki lifts the mist. At the same time, Lancer prepares to strike with his true swords. Shiki, however, remains composed. He recalls what he learned. Lancer possesses 2 lives, and though he is a dragon, he assumes human form to refine his combat prowess. It was Luto himself who revealed this truth. Lancer narrows his gaze. Shiki knows too much. Without hesitation, he unleashes his true swords, but Shiki is prepared. He conjures a barrier that doesn't just block the attack, it turns the swords to dust. Shiki transforms his staff into the Dragon Slayer, bragging that it's laced with poison and curses. But Lancer isn't impressed. He mocks it, saying it doesn't have the glow of a true weapon. Without missing a beat, Shiki activates the 6th step and charges at him. Meanwhile, Lancer wipes out the soldiers in the city and transforms their bodies into swords. Shiki rushes in, cutting through Lancer's swords like they're nothing. and even slices off his fingers without breaking a sweat. Lancer fires shards of broken swords at Shiki, but Shiki effortlessly deflects them, leaving Lancer stunned. Shiki keeps slicing through Lancer's attacks, feeling grateful toward Makoto and the others for helping him reach this level of strength. He notices the poison from his sword, starting to spread through Lancer's body, and silently hopes that Lancer doesn't catch on. Shiki wants him to die slowly and painfully. Lancer tries one more desperate attack, but Shiki cuts through it and chops off one of Lancer's legs. In a last-ditch effort, Lancer aims for Hibiki's group, planning to steal their powers. His sword is about to strike Shia, but someone swoops in and saves her just in time. Lancer then stabs Shiki with his sword, thinking he's won, but Shiki was just baiting him. In a flash, Shiki shifts into his human form and splits Lancer's body in half, ending the fight right there. Hibiki's group is left speechless, trying to process what just happened, but Hibiki quickly figures it out. She knows exactly who Shiki is. Sticking to his promise, Shiki heals Woody's injuries. Hibiki asks about his master, but Shiki brushes it off, saying there's no time to worry about that now. They need to protect the city. Suddenly, Sophia starts laughing like a maniac. Turns out she and Lancer had a twisted deal. If Lancer died first, Sophia would inherit his remaining life force and powers. Power surges through her, and Makoto immediately senses it. He realizes Lancer had 2 lives, but even with this boost, Makoto isn't worried. He still thinks Sophia can't catch him. Sophia smirks and warns him to not underestimate her. Then she unveils her trump card, the same deadly move that took down 2 greater dragons. She activates her domain expansion, creating a special space linked to Lancer's weapon vault. Makoto quickly figures out that this space not only makes her stronger, but also lets her control the swords stored inside of her. Since those swords carry the abilities and skills of the heroes who originally wielded them, Sophia has basically absorbed their powers. But Makoto isn't impressed. He calmly pulls out his bow and starts firing lightning arrows, destroying the swords one by one. Sophia gets furious and attacks, landing a hit that damages Makoto's mana matter. Realizing how much stronger she's gotten, Makoto turns off his mana matter and keeps firing, wiping out huge chunks of Sophia's swords. Sophia starts to panic. She insists that she can't die yet. Not before meeting Ludo. Makoto coldly tells her that she's just Ludo's puppet, who prepares to finish her off with a final arrow. But Sophia suddenly spots a hidden Japanese sword left behind by Lancer. She grabs it and slashes through Makoto's arrow at the last second, proving that she's not going down that easily. Sophia, now armed with Lancer's sword, smashes through Makoto's mana matter like it's nothing. Seeing this, Makoto shifts his suit into speed mode and uses the mana matter to launch himself into the air. He fires an arrow at her, but Sophia quickly destroys it and charges straight at him. Just before she lands a hit, Makoto disperses the mana matter under his feet to dodge her attack. He counters with 2 precise arrows, striking her hard and causing the space around them to shatter. Suddenly, they're back in the real world. With Sophia down, Makoto shifts his focus toward Fort Stella. He flies high into the sky using his mana, and with his enhanced vision, he spots that Ron has already evacuated her forces from the fort. Without wasting any time, Makoto fires an arrow that completely obliterates the fort. Afterward, he returns to the ground where Shiki is waiting. Feeling drained, Makoto decides to head back to the demiplane to rest. Shiki wonders if Makoto wants to speak with Hibiki since he recognized her, but Makoto casually brushes it off, saying they'll deal with that later. Shiki also mentions that Hibiki's party wants to thank Makoto for saving them and asks what they should request from them in return. But Makoto, feeling too tired to think about it, decides to leave that for another day since they're all out busy protecting the city. Back in the demiplane, Makoto is surprised to find out that they didn't suffer any damage during the attack on Kalinion. Tomoe explains that she created a massive cliff around Kalinion to serve as a defensive border, which helped keep the city safe. Meanwhile, Mio shows Makoto a tiny lizard, revealing that it's actually the last surviving demon commander. Makoto shares the details of his battle with them and praises Shiki for his support, which instantly makes Tomoe and Mio jealous. And not wanting to deal with the tension, Makoto lets it slide. Lime then shows up and tells Makoto that the headmaster of the academy is practically begging for him to visit. Curious, Makoto heads over to Rosgard with Shiki, only to find that some mutants are still lurking around. Shiki points out that the Academy's forces have already withdrawn, so they'll need to handle the situation themselves. Makoto realizes Shiki hasn't been able to rest properly because Tomoe and Mio have been keeping him busy, so he decides to step in. Not wanting to overwork Shiki, Makoto calls in Luto and Mondo. The two quickly take down the remaining mutants without breaking a sweat. After that, they visit the Dragon Knights of Laurel, who are busy helping the people. Tomoe, however, isn't impressed by them at all. She's clearly annoyed that she didn't get to fight anyone significant during the battle. Sensing her frustration, Makoto reassures her, reminding her that she accomplished her goal of bringing the 4 seasons to the demiplane. He playfully tells her not to pout and adds that he'd still choose her over 1,000 Dragon Knights any day, which makes Tomoe blush despite herself. Makoto's students weren't exactly thrilled about helping clean up the city, especially since Shifu and Yuno were off taking a break. Trying to keep things light, Makoto jokes that they're helping out their father at the Merchants Guild, but Patrick steps in and tells them not to push themselves too hard since they've already done enough by helping fight off the mutants. Jin casually mentions that now that Makoto's been talking more, they've realized he's actually pretty young, which makes Makoto wonder if his casual tone is ruining the cool and mysterious vibe he had going on. Shaking it off, he tells them to get back to work and casually drops that there won't be any classes for a while. This makes them realize he's turned down a full-time teaching position, which catches them completely off guard. Later, Makoto meets up with Estelle, who introduces him to her boss, and surprise surprise, it's Zala. Zala thanks Makoto for everything he's done and points out that most of the merchants who were causing trouble for him died during the recent attack. Makoto's a bit thrown off by how blunt he is, but he just goes with it. That night, Ludo shows up and apologizes to Makoto for not realizing sooner that the goddess was messing around with things, and for making him fight Sophia. Makoto admits he knew Luto was watching through Sophia's eye the whole time. Ludo tries to brush it off as a precaution, but Makoto calls him out, pointing out that there's clearly more going on between him and Sophia. Ludo thanks Makoto for handling the situation, but Makoto reminds him that Sophia is still alive and suggests that Luto should take responsibility and finish the job since he owes him one. Meanwhile, Sophia is barely hanging on. She knows that if she ever wants to take down Luto, she needs to defeat the greater dragon Maki first. But before she can even start figuring out how to recover, Luto shows up in front of her. She immediately goes on the attack, swinging her swords at him, but he effortlessly makes them disappear with a flick of his hand. Ludo tells her that this should be proof enough that he's the real deal. Then he drops the bombshell. He knows about her since she first registered at the Adventurers Guild, but he never really cared because in his eyes, she wasn't worth his time. Ouch. That hits a nerve, and Sophia fires back, saying that with the power she has now, she can kill him. But Luto coldly tells her that she was nothing more than an experiment. A mix of his blood and a human's. Lancer, on the other hand, was just a random fusion of two lives that he created on a whim. Sophia is furious at the idea that her entire existence was just a test, but Luto tells her that her current situation is her own fault because her mind was too weak. Enraged, Sophia charges at him, but Luto blocks her attack with the same mana matter that Makoto uses. He then pulls the Greater Dragon's power from her body, which takes the form of dragon eggs. Luto admits he can't raise them himself, so he decides to leave them in the care of their guardian. Then he teleports Sophia's unconscious body away, just like that. Over in Lemia, Hibiki asks the King of Lemia for permission to go to Laurel. She can't exactly tell him that Shiki asked her to send Shia back there, so she just asks him to trust her on this one. Back in the Demiplane, everyone's in a celebratory mood. They throw a big party to celebrate their victory, and Mio makes a special dish for Makoto. When Makoto tells her it's delicious, Mio's so happy that she actually tears up. During the party, Makoto asks Emma if Eva and Luria have gone to Kalinion, and Emma tells them that they're over in Mirage City studying urban development under Alkei's guidance. After the party winds down, Mio casually reminds Makoto about the promise he made to fulfill the winner's request. Curious, he asks what she wants. Mio shyly asks if she can attend to his needs, and Makoto instantly panics when he realizes what she's implying. Sensing his reaction, Mio quickly backtracks and says she just wants him to teach her how to process rice. This makes Shiki and Tomoe burst out laughing, which starts a playful argument between Mio and the others. Before the night ends, Makoto takes a moment to thank everyone for sticking with him. He admits that without them, he wouldn't have been able to stay true to himself in this world. To show how much he appreciates them, he gives them all his family name, Misumi. They all proudly accept it and promise to keep standing by his side, no matter what challenges come next. And that's a wrap on the second season of Moonlit Fantasy. Hope you had a blast watching it. If you enjoyed, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Stay tuned for more awesome anime stories coming your way soon. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.